Hello and welcome to Saturday, the sixth day of the week. And we're going to be delving in today and continuing on with the continuing complaint of the Lord being poured out through the life and the lips of Hosea as he is modeling and walking out and first of all demonstrating very physically to the people of Judah, the people of the kingdom in Jerusalem, the people of the tribes that have left the northern side and have moved south in Israel to the land of Israel, to the tribal area of Judah and Benjamin, which is now the southern kingdom or the kingdom of Judah. They're all Israelites of every tribe. They're all represented there. And God is bringing his claims against them as a people. Now, the Apostle Paul tells us that these things happened as an example for us, upon whom the end of the world or the end of the age or the end of time is determined. So these things that we're reading about and this revelation of the nature of God, his great love for his people, and the way that he brings about discipline and correction, because those whom the Lord loves, he also chastens. We can look here at the life of Hosea and what he is speaking and revealing through speech as well as action, what the Lord's position is towards his people, his heart towards his people, his motivation behind everything that he does, and then the reality of the justice that they need to be confronted with at the same time that there is mercy woven in that, because it's designed to take them aside unto himself and bring their hearts around and heal them and cleanse them from all of the junk and bring them into a place of blessing. So let's take that with us in the back of our mind as an introduction to this devotional thought today as we go on in the book of Hosea. And we've been talking about the return, Hosea's story. He's playing the role of a lifetime. And we find him then continuing with his litany of complaint from the Lord against the people of Israel. And there's very specific groups and subsets of the people of Israel, remembering that they're in the southern kingdom within the tribal area of Judah and Benjamin, and yet he can address the whole nation, even though arguably it's a remnant of the northern tribes that find themselves living amongst their cousins and their brothers in the southern area, in the southern part of the land, and still having access to Jerusalem and all of the feasts and all of the functions of the priesthood. So, ironically enough today, as I've just mentioned that, or as a segue, perhaps it's not irony, here goes the complaint, here goes the litany from the Lord. The more priests there were, the more they sinned against me. Wow. Now you would think it would be a good thing to have more priests. Ezekiel brings this up, and I think about the 25th chapter, it's described there, where he talks about the priesthood becoming a snare to the people. Because there's something that happens when a person who has the reputation of being the closest to God and knowing his heart and speaking for him and representing him, that when they get off track, they have a profound multiplying and leveraging position on the rest of the population. This is why it's so grievous when a pastor, when an evangelist, when a prominent speaker who speaks for Jesus falls into moral depravity, when they fall into a moral failing. It has a gut-wrenching, wide-ranging effect upon all kinds of people at every echelon. The worst case scenario is it sets somebody whose heart is already hard, even more hard against the Lord. But it also can introduce a wound into the spirit of people that in turn turns hard and callous against the Lord. And so it can become a catastrophic effect. The great news is that you can go directly to Jesus. You don't have to go through the representation of a pastor or a priest or a rabbi, but you can go directly to Jesus in prayer. You can circumvent the whole system, so to speak, and find healing and rest for your soul. But in this system, the more priests there were, the more they sinned against me. They, not only the priests, but also the people as a whole, they exchanged their glorious God for something disgraceful. The priests began to mix in the Canaanitish religions, and in some cases found themselves presiding over worship secretly to Canaanitish gods and goddesses, during the day serving as the priests of the Lord, and then during the night indulging in refashioning their priesthood into the dark arts, the occult, the Canaanitish religion. Wow. And here's what they did. They exchanged their glorious God. He didn't say they exchanged service. He didn't say they exchanged their robes. They exchanged in their heart their glorious God, Yahweh, the God of Israel, the one who has chosen the people of Israel above every people on the earth. They have exchanged their glorious God for something. Notice it doesn't say someone. They exchanged a person, the eternal person of God, for something. Wow. Romans chapter 1 lodges this complaint a different way, that they were not thankful for God that was revealed to them, but exchanged this for worship of animals and things. So it's the degradation of the people of God, and what has at the root of it? The degrading of the priests of God. The sons of Aaron, the Kohathites, exchanged their glorious God for something disgraceful, and very often, by the way, it was a better salary and an income that was coming in secretly to them beyond what the Lord had provided for them in their service within the priesthood and within the temple. It goes on to say this. I know this isn't a happy thought for our Saturday, but it's a necessary thought. Because God loves us, He wants to show us even the utter depravity that can exist in the heart of men, and can exist in my heart, and it can exist in your heart. They feed on the sins of my people and relish their wickedness. What's happening? By the people partaking in sin, there is a consequence of reaping some benefit for the people, which then is passed on to the priest. So rather than reproving the people and standing in the way, they accommodate it and then in turn reap a reward. And it will be like people, like priests. They are not going to be seen as the priest over the people or the priest lifted up. They're going to be placed on even ground. God is no respecter of persons, not only in His great compassion and love, but in His judgment and correction. I will punish both of them for their ways and repay them for their deeds. Here's how it sounds in the New Testament. For God is not mocked. Whatever a man sows, he shall also reap. It goes on to say, if we sow to the flesh, we reap corruption. But if we seek to the Spirit, or sow to the Spirit, we then reap life everlasting. God's not fooled, and there is a day of reckoning. So as we think about it on this Saturday, let's meditate upon that God doesn't see. He's no respecter of persons. whether it's a pastor who is messed up or the most innocent and youngest believer that's messed up. He loves us. He is going to contend with us. He is going to correct us. And He is going to prompt us to do this one thing. Maybe we can come away from it with this one thought. Where am I exchanging my God, the glorious God, His grace and His glory, for something? Where is someone being exchanged for something? I pray that the Lord would search my heart and your heart, and we could just meditate upon this thought today and let the Lord have His way in our heart. The Lord bless you. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.